Alright guys, welcome to the Phillips curve. This is it. This is the Phillips curve. So our next model, a little bit different than the others. All the others, this axis acted as a price. This one doesn't. What it's doing is it's showing us the relationship between two different things. Inflation rate and the unemployment rate. So for that first part where it just says short run Phillips curve, we can go ahead and define that as it's showing the relationship between inflation and the unemployment rate. So what this is implying to us is that there is a trade-off between those two things. So we can have a little bit less unemployment, but in order for us to have less unemployment, as a result, the trade-off is a higher inflation rate. So we see that this is a negatively sloping curve here. Our short-run Phillips curve, SRPC, is what that's labeled as if you can't quite see it. So the idea here, in order to have a lower unemployment rate, we have to give up and have the cost of being more higher inflation. So I have 2 points labeled here, point A and point B, a little higher on the curve. So the idea is this: the government, by their fiscal or monetary policies, by having expansionary or contractionary policies, they can move us along this curve. So I don't think there's a place in your notes for you to write it, but you want to make a note of somewhere that a movement along the SRPC is caused by fiscal or by monetary policy, so by government policies. So we can have, first of all, let's start at point A. Let's say that the economy is operating with 6% unemployment. Now point A is telling us unemployment is 6% and the inflation rate is 2%. Now at this time, the government decides maybe 6% unemployment is too high. They want lower unemployment. So what they have to do, they would engage in expansionary policies, so we can hopefully think of those: cut taxes, raise government spending, increase the money supply, increase government transfers, etc., right? So they do something expansionary. It doesn't matter which, all expansionary policies will have this result. Now if we picture the result of expansionary policies, so think of the aggregate supply, aggregate demand model, and we can think of it's just the aggregate demand curve to the right, correct? And so as a result, the price level increases. Now, we know that when aggregate demand shifts right, price level increases, but we also know when output increases that unemployment falls, remember? So this is not anything new as a concept. This idea we've been talking about since Unit 3. We now have a different model to express this relationship. So, at point A, the government now introduces expansionary policies, which are going to decrease unemployment. So we move from 6% to 4% unemployment. That's really good. But the cost is higher inflation rate, because like we said, on the aggregate supply, aggregate demand model, we see that the price level increases. That's inflation. So the inflation rate in this example goes from 2 to 4%. So that is the cost of having a lower unemployment rate. So that's the basic idea here, is that they are negatively or inversely related. So as the unemployment rate decreases, the inflation rate is going to increase, and vice versa. Contractionary policy, if we were operating at 4% inflation and we had a 4% unemployment rate and the government thought that 4% inflation was too high, they could try to bring it down by introducing contractionary policies, as we know, which would have the opposite effect. So raise taxes, cut government spending, decrease the money supply, decrease government transfers, and what that's going to do is it will bring down inflation, because that's shifting aggregate demand to the left now, lower price level, but at the cost of we are now going to have a higher unemployment rate. So that is the trade-off. This trade-off exists only in the short run.